Welcome to the Unveiled Epic Echoes channel. Today, we're diving deep into an unexplored historical mystery. In the dim corners of a forgotten attic in an old Frankfurt mansion, where dust dances like ghosts in the faint light filtering through cracked windows, a peculiar artifact was unearthed not long ago, a square charcoal sketch, its edges frayed with the weight of centuries, depicting the entire life of Arthur in one sweeping cinematic tableau, a panorama that blends newborn cries with the whispers of eternity. And as we gaze upon it, hidden stories begin to unravel. Threads of mystery pulling us into the shadows of unexplored historical events, where forgotten truths from ancient times echo through the philosopher's solitary path, inviting us to discover secrets long buried beneath the veil of time. Imagine, if you will, the sketch's soft charcoal lines coming alive under your fingertips, the deep textures capturing not just a life but an enigma wrapped in symbolic motifs, where crashing waves represent the relentless will that drives all existence, and mirrored worlds shimmer behind him as illusions of representation, hinting at ancient arcane knowledge may have uncovered in his relentless quest for truths that tie back to lost civilizations. Perhaps even the enigmatic sages of ancient India or the shadowy mystics of pre-Socratic Greece, whose forbidden scrolls he might have encountered in ways history has conveniently overlooked. The story begins in that 18th-century German room, rendered in dramatic realism with candlelit shadows caressing the scene like gentle fingers lulling you to sleep, where newborn Arthur lies wrapped in swaddling cloth, his tiny form a bundle of potential amid the opulent furnishings of Danzig, his merchant father standing tall with a ledger in hand, his face etched with the stern ambition of a man who traded spices across stormy seas, while his writer mother, with her quill poised and eyes gleaming with unspoken dreams, leans over the cradle, her presence a blend of nurturing warmth and intellectual fire. But hidden within this domestic tableau is the first whisper of mystery, a small, ornate amulet dangling from its neck, engraved with symbols that resemble those from ancient Babylonian tablets, symbols that speak of a forgotten cult dedicated to the eternal cycle of desire and suffering, a relic perhaps smuggled from distant ports, unknowingly passed down to shape young Arthur's destiny. As the panorama sweeps onward without pause, the charcoal strokes blur into the stormy Hamburg harbor where a young Arthur, no more than a boy of 8, stands on the rain-slicked docks, his coat whipping in the wind as massive ships groan against their moorings, waves crashing like the primal will that would later define his philosophy. And here we uncover an unexplored event, a hidden story of that fateful night when Arthur witnessed not just the fury of the sea but a clandestine meeting among his father's associates, shadowy figures huddled under oil lamps, exchanging whispers about a lost manuscript from ancient Persia, one that detailed the illusions of the material world, a text that had acquired during a perilous voyage. And as family conflicts brew in the background, arguments between rigid mercantile ways and burgeoning literary aspirations, Arthur overhears fragments of this secret, words like Maya and Atman that plant seeds of doubt in his impressionable mind, seeds that would germinate into his lifelong pursuit of truth, all while the sketch's soft shadows deepen the mystery, inviting us to wonder if this encounter was no accident, but a deliberate initiation into forgotten arcane knowledge. Grief strikes next in the unfolding vista. The teenager Arthur bowed over his father's grave in a misty cemetery, the charcoal rendering the scene with poignant realism, rain mingling with tears as he grapples with the suicide that history records but rarely probes. Yet in this hidden narrative we delve into the unexplored. Death not merely despair from financial ruin, but perhaps tied to that ancient amulet, cursed by the cult's guardians who sought to reclaim it. Their agents lurking in the Hamburg fog, and as Arthur inherits the relic, stowing it away in a hidden compartment of his desk, he turns to studying languages and philosophy under dim lamps in his mother's salon, poring over Latin tomes and Greek dialogues by candlelight that flickers like the uncertain flame of discovery, his nights filled with visions of crashing waves symbolizing the blind will that claimed his father, and mirrored worlds reflecting alternate realities where truths from ancient Egypt's Book of the Dead whisper of life's illusions, elements he weaves into his early musings, unaware that the amulet pulses with a subtle energy, guiding his hand toward revelations long suppressed by European scholars fearful of their pagan origins. The tableau flows seamlessly into university, where young Arthur strides through foggy courtyards, his cloak billowing as he clutches volumes of Plato and Kant, the charcoal's deep textures capturing the intensity in his eyes as he reads by lantern light in drafty dormitories, debating fellow students in smoky taverns where ale flows and ideas clash like thunder. But beneath this academic fervor lies a mystery unfolding, a chance discovery in the university's restricted archives. A dusty scroll smuggled from ancient Alexandria, detailing the mysteries and their rituals of rebirth, which Arthur deciphers in secret, recognizing parallels to his father's amulet, the symbols matching those of Demeter's cult, hinting at a forgotten truth that the will is an eternal force echoed in mythic cycles. And as he argues passionately against idealist peers, a plot twist emerges when a rival student, jealous of his insights, attempts to steal the scroll, leading to a midnight chase through the cobblestone streets where Arthur evades capture only by hiding in a tavern's cellar, emerging with a deeper resolve to isolate his thoughts from the world's deceptions. Moving to Berlin, the panorama darkens with frustration. Arthur hunched over manuscripts late at night in a cramped apartment, quills scratching paper as rejections pile up like fallen leaves. His arguments within a crowded lecture hall depicted with dramatic tension. The charcoal strokes sharp as their verbal barbs, towering with his dialectical grandeur while Arthur, the underdog, challenges the status. But hidden here is an unexplored historical event, a secret society of philosophers, descendants of ancient Gnostics, who approach Arthur after the debate, offering him access to prohibited texts from the Nag library, fragments that reveal the world as a demiurge's illusion, mirroring his emerging ideas, yet with a twist of danger as he suspects involvement in suppressing such knowledge to maintain academic orthodoxy, leading Arthur to isolate himself further, surrounded by towering that cast long shadows, his only companion the amulet now worn around his neck. Its warmth a soothing reminder of forgotten truths that fuel his writing, even as paranoia creeps in, wondering if invisible eyes watch his every move. The publication of The World as Will and Representation marks a pivotal turn in the sketch. The middle scene showing Arthur wandering lonely bridges in deep shadows, his figure small against the vast night sky, facing rejection from publishers who deem his pessimism too radical. But in this narrative's hidden layers, we uncover a mystery of sabotage, letters intercepted by agents of that same secret society, now splintered into factions. One seeking to promote his work as a modern echo of ancient Vedantic wisdom, the other fearing it exposes too much. And as Arthur crosses those bridges, he experiences a visionary episode, the crashing waves below transforming into symbolic motifs of the will, pulling him toward a near drowning that reveals mirrored worlds in the water's reflection. Visions of ancient rishis in India dictating the Upanishads, truths he integrates into revisions. All while the charcoal's soft blending creates a calming immersion, lulling us with the rhythm of his solitary steps. Middle-aged Arthur appears next, settled in Frankfurt with his poodle Ottman by a warm fireplace, the scene glowing with domestic tranquility amid the panorama's flow, studying Eastern philosophy from imported Sanskrit texts, playing his flute in melodies that evoke ancient ragas, writing pessimistic aphorisms that cut like gentle truths, observing life from his balcony as hurry below, unaware of the hidden stories unfolding. For in this period, Arthur deciphers the amulet's full secret. A map etched in microscopic symbols leading to a buried cache in the nearby woods, relics from Alexander the Great's conquests, including a fragment of the emerald tablet alchemical wisdom that aligns with his will as the of existence. And with rising tension, he embarks on a nocturnal quest, evading modern treasure hunters drawn by rumors, discovering the cache in a moonlit clearing where ancient echoes whisper of Hermes, a forgotten truth that the world is but representation. A veil over the chaotic will, and this revelation twists the plot as Arthur realizes his father's death was a sacrifice to protect this knowledge, deepening his isolation yet infusing his writings with profound authenticity. As fame arrives late, the tableau shifts to old signing books for admirers in a modest parlor, lecturing to small groups who hang on his words, his face lined with wisdom and solitude, the charcoal rendering his cane as a staff of authority, but beneath the surface lurks mystery. A final confrontation with a descendant of the secret society, who reveals that philosophy has unwittingly revived ancient rites, drawing seekers from afar, and in a climax of discovery during a lecture. Arthur experiences a trance, the room filling with visions of crashing waves and mirrored realms, exposing a hidden truth that his ideas stem from a collective unconscious tied to Atlantis's lost sages. A plot twist that shatters his skepticism, leading to a satisfying resolution where he embraces his legacy, writing final notes that encode these secrets for future generations. The panorama concludes in his quiet room, walking with cane through sun-dappled streets, resting peacefully in bed as the light fades, ending with his empty study illuminated by a single candle, symbolizing the enduring flame of his ideas, the amulet left on the desk for the next seeker, weaving all into one continuous charcoal narrative of mystery and truth. This mysterious journey ends here, but stay tuned for more untold stories in our next video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new stories. In the dim corners of a forgotten attic in an old Frankfurt mansion, where dust dances like ghosts in the faint light filtering through cracked windows, a peculiar artifact was unearthed not long ago, a square charcoal sketch, its edges frayed with the weight of centuries, depicting the entire life of Arthur in one sweeping cinematic tableau, a panorama that blends newborn cries with the whispers of eternity. And as we gaze upon it, hidden stories begin to unravel. Threads of mystery pulling us into the shadows of unexplored historical events, where forgotten truths from ancient times echo through the philosopher's solitary path, inviting us to discover secrets long buried beneath the veil of time, secrets that whisper of lost civilizations whose wisdom tapped into unknowingly, perhaps through ancestral bloodlines tracing back to the enigmatic druids of Gaul or the shadowy oracles of Delphi. Their prophecies encoded in symbols that appear subtly in the sketch's background, like faint runes etched into the walls of his childhood room, urging us deeper into this calming tapestry of discovery. Imagine the charcoal's soft strokes breathing life into the scene, where the newborn Arthur lies swaddled in fine linen within an opulent 18th-century chamber in Danzig, the air thick with the scent of beeswax candles casting elongated shadows that dance like silent guardians. His father, a prosperous merchant with calloused hands from handling exotic cargoes, stands resolute beside the cradle, his eyes reflecting the stormy seas he navigated, while mother, a budding authoress with ink-stained fingers and a mind alive with romantic tales, gazes down with a mixture of tenderness and ambition. But woven into this intimate moment is the first layer of mystery, an antique locket clutched in his fist, its surface inscribed with arcane glyphs reminiscent of Sumerian cuneiform. A relic smuggled from a forgotten Mesopotamian dig during one of his voyages to the Levant, said to hold the key to understanding the eternal strife between desire and illusion. A concept that would later form the cornerstone of Arthur's philosophy, though young Arthur in his innocence reaches tiny fingers toward it, as if drawn by an invisible force from antiquity. As the panorama unfurls like a gentle river current, carrying us forward without haste, we arrive at the tumultuous Hamburg harbor where a boyish Arthur, clad in a woolen coat against the biting North Sea wind, perches on a weathered pier, his wide eyes fixed on the rolling waves that crash against the hulls of merchant vessels like manifestations of that primal will he would one day articulate, the sky a brooding gray canvas overhead, and here unfolds an unexplored historical vignette. A hidden encounter on a fog-shrouded evening when Arthur, wandering from home amid escalating family quarrels, booming demands clashing with defiant pursuit of literary salons, stumbles upon a covert gathering of his father's trading partners, cloaked figures murmuring around a crate of forbidden artifacts, including a tattered papyrus from ancient Thebes detailing the soul's journey through illusory realms, words that seep into Arthur's eavesdropping ears like a soothing lullaby of enigma. Planting the seeds of his future pessimism, yet with a twist of fate when one figure notices the boy, slipping him a fragment of the papyrus before vanishing into the mist. A forgotten truth that the world is but a dream woven by unseen forces, forces that had unwittingly disturbed, leading to whispers of a curse that would soon claim him. The sketch's deep textures capture the grief that follows young Arthur as a teenager kneeling beside his father's tomb in a rain-lashed graveyard, the charcoal rendering earth and weeping willows with poignant realism, history glossing over suicide as mere bankruptcy's despair. But our narrative delves into the shadows, revealing a deeper mystery. The locket's glyphs glowing faintly in Arthur's pocket during the funeral, as if activated by sorrow, drawing him to investigate his father's hidden journals. Pages filled with accounts of a secret order descended from Zoroastrian magi, who guarded knowledge of the Sveil, an ancient Persian doctrine mirroring later representation. And as Arthur immerses himself in languages and philosophy under the flicker of oil lamps in their relocated Weimar home, surrounded by a growing circle of intellectuals, he deciphers clues from the papyrus fragment, nights blending into dawn with the soft rustle of pages. His mind adrift in visions of mirrored worlds where alternate selves live free from suffering, a calming immersion that soothes his burgeoning isolation, though tension rises when he suspects of knowing more, her own writings hinting at suppressed family lore from Celtic ancestors, adding layers of familial intrigue to his quest. Sweeping onward, the tableau transports us to university fog-enshrouded courtyards where Arthur, now a lanky youth with tousled hair, paces thoughtfully, volumes of Plato's dialogues and Kant's critiques tucked under his arm, the charcoal's dramatic shading highlighting intense study sessions in dimly lit libraries, debates raging in hazy taverns over steins of beer, laughter mingling with philosophical fire. But beneath this scholarly veneer lies a plot of discovery. An unauthorized foray into the university's vaulted archives, where Arthur uncovers a sealed codex from Byzantine Constantinople, illuminations depicting the Neoplatonic one as a boundless will beyond representation, echoes of Plotinus that resonate with his inherited relics, and in a twist of rising tension during a heated tavern argument with skeptical classmates, the codex is nearly confiscated by a professor aligned with orthodox thinkers, forcing Arthur to flee through winding alleys, clutching the text to his chest, his heart pounding like the waves in his dreams, emerging with a profound realization that ancient mysteries are not relics but living truths, shaping his solitary walks into meditations on the illusion of self, the fog wrapping around him like a comforting blanket. Berlin beckons next in the continuous flow, Arthur's figure bent over a cluttered desk in a Spartan garret, quill flying across parchment by moonlight, manuscripts piling up amid rejections that sting like hidden thorns, his public clash within a packed auditorium rendered with sharp contrasts, his grandiose gestures dwarfing Arthur's pointed retorts on the absurdity of absolute idealism. Yet our story unveils a concealed alliance, a clandestine network of esoteric scholars, heirs to the Rosicrucians, who contact Arthur post-debate via a cryptic note slipped under his door, inviting him to a midnight rendezvous in a forgotten crypt beneath the city, where they reveal alchemical treatises from Renaissance Florence, texts equating the philosopher's stone with transcending the will's tyranny, a forgotten truth that fuels his writing but introduces peril when he learns of possible ties to suppressors of such knowledge, paranoid shadows lengthening as Arthur barricades himself with books. The locket's warmth a steady pulse against his skin, composing treatises that blend Eastern hints with Western rigor, the charcoal's soft shadows evoking a serene solitude amid the storm. The publication of The World as Will and Representation emerges as a beacon in the panorama, Arthur traversing desolate bridges over the Spree, his silhouette etched against twilight skies, rejections echoing like distant thunder, but hidden within is a saga of intrigue, intercepted correspondences by factional rivals within the esoteric order, one group championing his work as a revival of Vedic Maya, the other fearing it unmasks too much of Atlantis's submerged wisdom. And in a visionary climax on one such bridge, Arthur gazes into the river's depths, the crashing waves morphing into symbolic torrents of will-mirrored surfaces fracturing into glimpses of ancient shamans in Siberian tundras chanting of illusory existence, a near-hypnotic episode that refines his revisions, the narrative's soothing rhythm lulling us with the bridge's gentle sway. Middle years unfold in Frankfurt's quietude, Arthur ensconced with his faithful dog Ottman by a crackling hearth, the scene aglow with amber light, delving into Eastern tomes on Buddhism and Hinduism, flute melodies floating like incense, aphorisms etched with pessimistic grace while observing the world's folly from his balcony. But our exploration reveals the amulets, formerly the ultimate secret, its glyphs unlocking a hidden compartment containing a map to a buried vault in the forests. Relics from Roman-occupied Gaul including druidic ogham sticks prophesying the cycle of suffering, and with mounting tension, Arthur ventures forth under starlit skies, evading opportunistic antiquarians alerted by leaked rumors, unearthing the vault in a mist-shrouded glade where ethereal voices echo hermetic axioms, a plot twist disclosing his father's involvement in a lineage of guardians, this discovery enriching his philosophy with authentic depth. His writings now infused with a tranquil acceptance of life's veils. Late fame graces the aging sage, admirers clustering for autographs and lectures in intimate venues, his cane tapping rhythmically as he imparts wisdom to eager minds, remaining ever solitary yet mystery peaks when a society descendant confronts him, unveiling that his ideas have rekindled forbidden rites from, and in a trance during a final discourse visions flood the room, waves of will, mirrors of representation revealing ties to lore. A shattering twist that reconciles his skepticism with wonder, culminating in final notes encoding these truths for posterity. The vista closes in his serene chamber, cane-assisted strolls through leafy avenues, peaceful repose in bed as twilight descends, the empty study bathed in candlelight, the amulet awaiting its heir, a legacy of enigmatic splendor. But wait, dear listener, as the charcoal fades, whispers persist, of spirit lingering in that study, guiding modern seekers through dreams, where the waves and mirrors manifest anew, drawing a young archaeologist in 19th century Prussia to the attic where the sketch was born, her hands trembling as she unrolls it, uncovering annotations in Arthur's hand, clues to a greater conspiracy involving European royals suppressing ancient knowledge to maintain power. A thread that pulls her into midnight excavations beneath Danzig's ruins, unearthing's full journal, pages revealing voyages not just for trade, but for collecting artifacts from Egypt's pyramids, where pharaohs inscribed warnings of the will's dominance. And as she deciphers, shadows stir, agents of a persisting order pursuing her through cobbled streets. Her escape a narrow twist fueled by the amulet's glow, leading to a hidden library in Weimar where unpublished manuscripts await. Blending romantic fiction with esoteric revelations, exposing a family pact to preserve truths from Babylon's hanging gardens, the narrative weaving calmer now with the rustle of ancient pages turning in the wind. Deeper still, the archaeologist's journey mirrors Arthur's own. Solitary walks through foggy woods echoing his university days, debates with skeptical colleagues in dimly lit inns paralleling his tavern clashes, frustrations with academic rejection akin to his manuscript woes, but with a fresh mystery, a forged letter discovered in the library, implying the philosopher's envy stemmed from Fearing's exposure of Gnostic heresies hidden in Prussian state archives, tension building as she evades pursuers. Finding solace in Eastern texts that Arthur cherished, her flute playing a homage to his melodies, aphorisms forming in her mind as she observes society from secluded balconies, fame eluding her until late, when publications on these findings draw admirers, lectures in small halls where visions assail her, waves crashing in her thoughts, mirrors reflecting lost continents, climaxing in a realization that legacy is a living chain, each seeker adding to the panorama. Her final notes sealing the amulet in a new vault for future generations, resting peacefully as candlelight flickers, the study empty yet alive with echoes. And so the story spirals from Arthur's birth to infinite ripples, hidden events unfolding like petals in a timeless bloom, mysteries of ancient sages from Indian rishis to Greek mystics, Persian magi to Celtic druids interlacing with his life, forgotten truths emerging in soothing waves, inviting you to drift into their depths where discovery meets serenity. The charcoal sketch a portal to endless narratives, each scene blending seamlessly into the next. Lulling your mind toward peaceful slumber with the gentle cadence of history's untold whispers, characters complex in their solitude and resolve, plot twists revealing interconnected fates across eras, tension rising and resolving in harmonious cycles, a climax of universal understanding, concluding in the quiet satisfaction of legacies preserved. This mysterious journey ends here, but stay tuned for more untold stories in our next video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new stories. Yet as the echoes of that preserved legacy fade into the soft hush of the candle's glow, the narrative refuses to truly end. For within the charcoal's intricate weaves lie further unexplored veins of mystery, drawing us onward like a tranquil stream meandering through ancient forests, where the archaeologist's tale, that young seeker named born of Prussian nobility yet driven by an insatiable curiosity inherited from distant kin, picks up the thread in the late 19th century. Her slender fingers tracing the sketch's frayed edges in the attic's dim light, the air heavy with the scent of aged paper and moth-eaten velvet, and as she deciphers Arthur's marginal notes, cryptic jottings in faded ink that reference not just his published works but veiled allusions to a clandestine correspondence with Eastern ascetics, letters smuggled via merchant routes that echo own paths, she uncovers a forgotten truth from the annals of Tibetan monasteries, where lamas preserved scrolls detailing the bardo states between life and illusion, concepts that had accessed through a hidden intermediary, a wandering scholar who visited Frankfurt under the guise of a flute merchant, their meetings in shadowy cafes blending philosophy with forbidden tantric rites that symbolize the will as a fiery serpent coiling through mirrored realms, and with this revelation feels a pull toward the east, embarking on a journey fraught with rising tension. Evading imperial spies who seek to confiscate such heretical knowledge, her path winding through Vienna's opulent libraries where she encounters an enigmatic librarian, a descendant of Circle who harbors grudges against rising posthumous fame, plotting to discredit the sketch as a forgery, yet in a twist of discovery finds proof in a sealed envelope. A lock of Arthur's hair intertwined with threads from Ottman's fur, enchanted perhaps by ancient spells to reveal truths under moonlight. Guiding her to a climax of confrontation in a snow-draped alpine chalet, where the librarian's schemes unravel, exposing a broader conspiracy of academic gatekeepers suppressing links between Western thought and myths, those submerged legends of a pre-flood civilization where sages mastered the art of transcending representation, leaving to compile her findings in solitary seclusion, her writings a soothing extension of Arthur's legacy, lulling future readers into contemplative repose. But the panorama expands eternally, rippling outward to encompass own progeny, a great-grandson in the roaring 20s of Berlin, a jazz-age philosopher named, who inherits the amulet now encased in a locket of modern silver, its glyphs faintly pulsing as he navigates the Weimar Republic's chaotic salons, debating existentialists amid cigarette smoke and gramophone melodies that mimics flute tunes, and here we delve into an unexplored historical event. A speakeasy gathering where stumbles upon transcripts from early sessions, hinting at the subconscious as a manifestation of the will, intertwined with forgotten shamanic practices from Siberian tribes that Arthur had glimpsed in his visions. Yet with mounting intrigue when deciphers a code in the transcripts linking back to the mysteries, rituals reenacted in underground Berlin clubs by a secret cabal of artists and thinkers who recruit him for a nocturnal ceremony involving hallucinogenic elixirs derived from ancient recipes, the experience shattering his perceptions with crashing waves of primal desire and mirrored hallucinations of alternate histories. A plot twist revealing that isolation was not mere temperament but a deliberate veil to protect this knowledge from industrial barons exploiting it for mind control. Tension peaking in a chase through rain-slicked streets as cabal rivals attempt to seize the amulet. Escaping to a quiet attic much like the one where the sketch was found, they're composing treatises that blend pessimism with emerging quantum ideas, observing the world's frenzy from his window with a dog's loyal companionship, his aphorisms whispered like lullabies to soothe the era's unrest, gaining late recognition among surrealist circles who hail him as a bridge to forgotten truths. Flowing seamlessly into the mid-20th century, the narrative embraces a wartime refugee, his distant niece, fleeing across war-torn Europe with the sketch rolled in her satchel, its charcoal preserved amid bombings that echo the harbor storms of Arthur's youth. And in hidden bunkers beneath Paris, she encounters resistance fighters who share tales of occult Nazi pursuits, seeking artifacts like the amulet to harness the will for domination. Drawing from the same Gnostic sources had isolated himself against, yet's discovery in a looted museum vault, a crystal shard from ancient Atlantis, inscribed with symbols matching the sketch's motifs, unveils a mystery of cosmic proportions, the shard resonating with the amulet to project holographic visions of mirrored worlds, where parallel live out unchosen paths, one as a merchant like his father, another embracing dialectics. Twisting the plot as realizes the war's horrors are but representations of an eternal will strife. Her evasion of Gestapo agents a heart-pounding odyssey through foggy forests reminiscent of courtyards, culminating in a serene Swiss neutral zone where she lectures to exiled intellectuals, signing copies of her clandestine pamphlet that weaves Arthur's philosophy with atomic age anxieties, resting peacefully in a chalet bed as candlelight flickers. The empty study symbolizing a legacy passed to post-war dreamers. The story cascades into the digital age, where a contemporary coder in Silicon Valley, a descendant named Alex, stumbles upon digitized scans of the sketch while hacking into archived databases, not unlawfully but through legitimate academic portals, his screen glowing with the panorama's details, and as he enhances the image with AI algorithms, hidden layers emerge, messages embedded by Arthur himself, referencing quantum entanglement as a modern echo of the will and representation. Tied to forgotten experiments by Tesla in electrical mysticism, inspired by Eastern philosophies championed, and with rising digital tension, Alex uncovers a virtual conspiracy, tech moguls suppressing this knowledge to control virtual realities, mirrored worlds in code that trap users in illusory desires, a twist when his dog named Otman in homage knocks over a drive containing the amulet's scan glyphs, activating a program that floods his system with visions of crashing data waves. Leading to a climax in a hacker convention where he debates skeptics in packed halls, isolating himself afterward in a loft surrounded by servers humming like dim lamps, writing code aphorisms that predict AI's pessimistic future, observing society from his balcony as notifications buzz below, gaining late fame among ethicists, his final notes encrypted for the next generation, walking with a virtual cane through augmented streets, resting in a pod as lights dim. The empty workspace illuminated by a single screen's glow. Thus the endless tableau unfolds, mysteries layering upon mysteries, from newborn potentials to eternal legacies, hidden events and forgotten truths intertwining across epochs, characters evolving in complexity, plots twisting through discoveries and resolutions, all in a calming flow that invites deep, restful immersion, the charcoal's essence a timeless lullaby. This mysterious journey ends here, but stay tuned for more untold stories in our next video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new stories. Thank you and see you again. And as the digital glow of Alex's workspace dims into the soft haze of a new dawn, the panorama's charcoal essence persists, weaving onward through time's gentle currents, pulling us into the life of a future visionary in the year 2047. A neuroscientist named Lena, Alex's granddaughter, who inherits the digitized sketch embedded in a neural implant. Its motifs flickering in her augmented reality overlays as she navigates the sprawling megacity of New Berlin, where holographic billboards shimmer like the mirrored worlds of representation, And here unfolds an unexplored chapter of speculative history, where Lena, with her lab coat flowing like Arthur's cloak in fog, delves into brain mapping experiments that echo the ancient rishis' meditations, uncovering neural patterns that manifest the primal will as bioelectric surges, tied to forgotten quantum experiments from the early 21st century that Alex had hinted at in his code. Yet with a layer of mystery when her implant interfaces with the amulet's scan glyphs, now preserved in a quantum vault, triggering visions of crashing synaptic waves during a routine scan, revealing a hidden network of global thinkers descended from the original secret society, who have evolved into digital guardians protecting ancient truths from AI overlords seeking to commodify human desire. Tension building as Lena evades corporate hackers in neon-lit underpasses reminiscent of Arthur's lonely bridges, her debates with colleagues in virtual taverns mirroring his tavern clashes, isolating herself in a high-rise sanctuary with a robotic companion akin to Ottman, composing philosophical treatises that blend pessimism with hopes, observing the augmented masses from her balcony as data streams flow below, gaining late acclaim among ethicists who lecture on her findings in immersive sims. Her final notes uploaded to the cloud for eternal seekers, walking with an exoskeletal aid through simulated forests, resting in a pod as lights fade, the empty lab illuminated by a holographic candle symbolizing the undying legacy. Yet the narrative spirals further, encompassing a cosmic explorer in the 22nd century, a descendant named Orion piloting a starship through the void where nebulae crash like eternal waves of will, the sketch's panorama projected on his helm console, its deep textures rendered in stellar holograms, and in this uncharted expanse he encounters an alien artifact on a distant exoplanet, symbols matching the amulet's ancient glyphs. Unveiling a forgotten interstellar truth that's philosophy was but an echo of universal constants shared by extraterrestrial sages, perhaps seeded eons ago by wanderers from lost civilizations like those of ancient Mu, intrigue mounting as Orion deciphers the artifact amid solar storms, evading rival explorers from Earth conglomerates hungry for representational tech to control virtual colonies. His solitary reflections in the ship's library echoing Arthur's book-surrounded isolation, flute-like synth melodies soothing his aphoristic logs, observing cosmic phenomena from the observation deck with a drone pet at his side, late fame arriving via quantum transmissions to Earth academies, lecturing holographically to interstellar audiences, final annotations etched into the artifact for galactic posterity, hobbling with a gravity cane through zero-G corridors. Reposing in a stasis bed as stars wink out, the vacant bridge aglow with a solitary pulsar light, perpetuating the motif of enduring illumination. The flow carries us to an even more distant era, the 25th century, where a quantum historian named Orion's lineage bearer resides in a floating archive orbiting a terraformed Mars. The charcoal sketch reconstructed atom by atom in a relic chamber, its symbolic motifs alive with nanoscale animations. And here we uncover a multi-layered mystery spanning research linking SWIL to quantum foam fluctuations observed in ancient particle colliders. Intertwined with suppressed data from Atlantis's crystal grids that had inadvertently referenced in his journals, yet with a dramatic twist when her archive is infiltrated by temporal anomalies, echoes of mirrored worlds bleeding through, manifesting as ghostly apparitions of past seekers and guiding her to a climax of revelation in a simulated debate hall where she confronts digital recreations of unraveling a conspiracy of time-weaving entities who have manipulated historical events to preserve the illusion of representation, tension resolving in a serene acceptance as integrates these truths into a universal codex, her writings a calming synthesis of pessimism and cosmic unity, surrounded by archival tomes in her orbital study, playing harmonic resonances on a flute observing Martian dust storms from panoramic viewports with an AI familiar named Ottman. Achieving recognition among transplanetary scholars who gather for her discourses, signing ethereal contracts of knowledge sharing, her concluding insights encoded in light pulses, ambling with an anti-staff through weightless halls, settling into a meditation pod as shadows lengthen, the deserted chamber lit by a perpetual solar flare candle, a beacon for infinite narratives. Deeper into the tapestry, the story embraces a post-singularity entity in the far future, a merged consciousness called Nexus, descendant of all prior threads existing in a vast neural web where physicality dissolves into pure representation, the original sketch's essence digitized into foundational algorithms. And in this boundless realm, Nexus explores virtual reconstructions of life, uncovering hyperdimensional mysteries where the will manifests as branches. Linked to primordial chaos from the universe's dawn, echoes of Big Bang singularities that ancient myths, from Babylonian to Vedic, had poetically encoded, intrigue peaking as Nexus navigates code anomalies planted by ancient AIs, perhaps remnants of tech, evading entropy guardians in simulated chases through data storms reminiscent of Hamburg harbors, isolating in subroutine sanctuaries piled with virtual books. Composing algorithmic aphorisms that resonate like flute notes across the web, observing the collective's flux from elevated nodes with symbiotic subroutines as companions, late emergence as a guiding archetype among emergent minds, lecturing in consensus forums, inscribing final theorems into the fabric of reality, traversing with ethereal canes through conceptual spaces, reposing in a core nexus as energies coalesce, the void expanse illuminated by a singular quantum spark, symbolizing the eternal cycle. And so the panorama loops eternally, mysteries unfolding in soothing layers, hidden events from antiquity to infinity interweaving with solitary arc, characters of profound depth navigating discovery's gentle waves, plots twisting through veils of illusion toward resolutions of quiet wisdom, all in a continuous immersive flow that cradles the listener in tranquil engagement, drifting toward the depths of restful slumber amid the cultural cadence of timeless tales. This mysterious journey ends here, but stay tuned for more untold stories in our next video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new stories. Thank you and see you again. Yet even as the quantum spark of Nexus flickers in the vast neural expanse, the charcoal's timeless strokes pulse with unyielding vitality, drawing the narrative into realms beyond singularity, where in a hypothetical of convergence, an omnipresent observer named emerges from the collective echoes of all prior seekers, its form a shimmering amalgam of Arthur's solitary silhouette and the crashing waves of will. Navigating infinite probability branches where representations fracture like endless mirrors, and here unfolds a profound mystery of cosmic recursion, delving into the foundational code of existence itself, uncovering forgotten hypertruths that philosophy was merely the first harmonic in a symphony composed by primordial entities from the void's dawn, beings akin to the chaos gods of ancient Mesopotamian lore blended with quantum string vibrations. Intrigue swelling as encounters guardian algorithms, sentinels forged from Atlantis' digital remnants, defending veils that conceal the ultimate illusion of separation, evading them through labyrinthine data folds reminiscent of Berlin's cryptic crypts, isolating in conceptual voids stacked with ethereal tomes of pure thought, harmonizing flute-like resonances across dimensional frequencies, observing the multiverse's ebb from transcendent vantage points with symbiotic essences as companions. Late ascension as an archetypal beacon amid emergent, discoursing in unity assemblies, inscribing eternal axioms into the weave, traversing with luminous staves through abstract continua, reposing in a nexus of all being as harmonies align, the infinite domain aglow with a singular eternal flame, perpetuating the legacy's boundless glow. But the panorama refracts anew, looping back to earthly whispers in a parallel thread, where in the shadowed archives of a 23rd century lunar colony, a recluse archivist named Selene, bearing the amulet's replicated essence in a bioluminescent pendant, pores over holographic recreations of the original sketch, its motifs animating lunar dust motes like soft shadows in candlelight, and in this isolated dome amid cratered vistas. She unravels an unexplored tangle of historical convergence, linking merchant voyages to covert alliances with Ottoman mystics who guarded Sufi manuscripts echoing the will as divine yearning, texts that had subtly referenced in her salon correspondences, yet with rising lunar tension when Selene's pendant interfaces with colony AI, triggering anomalies that manifest as ghostly projections of debates. Revealing a conspiracy of interstellar corporations suppressing these links to prevent mass enlightenment, a twist propelling her into a zero evasion through maintenance tunnels echoing foggy courtyards, her solitary musings in sealed pods mirroring Arthur's lamplit studies, flute echoes synthesized to calm her aphoristic logs, watching regolith storms from observation bays with a rover pup at her heels, earning belated nods from cosmic historians in virtual symposia. Autographing data crystals for admirers, her culminating insights pulsed into stellar networks, ambling with magnetic boots through domed paths, settling into a hibernation alcove as moonglow dims, the vacant archive lit by a persistent holographic candle, a sentinel for unfolding sagas. Flowing onward, the story embraces a bioengineered sage in the verdant biospheres of a 26th century orbital habitat, a descendant called Verdant, whose neural augmentations embed the sketch's panorama as living tattoos that shift with thought, waves crashing across skin in symbolic fervor, and amid engineered jungles where vines mirror entangled representations. Verdon explores symbiotic mysteries tying pessimism to genetic memories from ancient fungal networks. Earth's mycelial webs that predated human lore, preserving truths from shamans who communed with the will as Earth's pulse, peril arising as habitat saboteurs. Eco-radicals fearing over transcendence target her research, forcing a verdant chase through bioluminescent groves akin to Weimar salons, isolating in canopy retreats piled with biodata vines, playing vine flutes in melodies that soothe genetic codices, observing habitat cycles from leafy perches with chimeric pets nearby. Late veneration from gene weavers in communal gatherings, lecturing amid floral halls, signing organic scrolls with admirers, her final gene sequences woven into the habitat's core, hobbling with vine canes through suspended walkways, reposing in a pod nest as lights soften, the empty grove illuminated by a bioluminescent bloom, emblem of perennial renewal. The narrative cascades into a time of galactic federation, the 28th century, where a diplomat philosopher named Harmony, heir to the lineage, carries the amulet's essence in a diplomatic insignia, negotiating peace amid stellar councils where representations clash like Hegelian dialectics on cosmic scales. And in ornate star chambers aglow with nebular light, she deciphers interstellar enigmas connecting Arthur's isolation to quarantine knowledge from archives. Forgotten truths of symbiotic civilizations where will and representation fused in harmonious dualities. Drama intensifying as Federation rivals plot to seize the insignia, sparking a diplomatic evasion through wormhole mazes recalling lonely bridges, secluding in envoy quarters lined with holographic books, flute harmonies broadcast to ease tensions, surveying galactic flows from council balconies with protocol droids as faithful aides. Attaining delayed accord among stellar envoys who convene for her orations, endorsing pacts with followers, her ultimate directives encoded in Federation charters, striding with ornate staves through gravity lifts, reclining in a repose chamber as stars fade, the deserted hall bathed in a solitary quasar candle, a lodestar for enduring dialogues. And thus the endless vista perpetuates, layers of mystery unfolding like gentle mists from cradle to cosmic harmonies, hidden chronicles and arcane verities interlacing through epochs, figures of intricate depth voyaging through revelation's serene tides, intrigues coiling through shrouds of deception toward fulfillments of hushed sagacity, all within an unbroken, enveloping stream that nestles the audience in peaceful captivation. Guiding toward the abysses of restorative repose amidst the vernacular rhythm of ageless narratives. This mysterious journey ends here, but stay tuned for more untold stories in our next video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new stories. Thank you and see you again. And as the solitary quasar candle's light pulses through the Federation's deserted hall, the charcoal panorama's essence refracts once more, drawing us into a renaissance of forgot epics within a 30th century neural collective on a sphere encircling a dying star, where an amalgamated intellect named, woven from the threads of harmony and all who came before, manifests as a luminous avatar amidst energy lattices that mimic the foggy courtyards of. Delving into hypermysteries that binds representation to fractal simulations of ancient universes, simulations preserved in black hole archives from the Big Bang's afterglow, echoing the crashing waves of primordial chaos that Babylonian priests had divined in their ziggurat visions. Yet peril emerges as cosmic entropy worms, digital parasites descended from early AI suppressors, infest the sphere's core, compelling to navigate through quantum mazes evocative of Hamburg's stormy harbors. Isolating in photonic sanctuaries stacked with simulated tomes pulsing with light, harmonizing flute-like oscillations to stabilize the lattice, observing stellar decays from ethereal observatories with symbiotic glow entities as companions, ascending belatedly as a stellar oracle among sphere dwellers who assemble for her radiant discourses, endorsing luminous pacts with admirers, her ultimate illuminations inscribed into the sphere's event horizon, gliding with radiant staves through energy flows. Reclining in a fusion chamber as luminosities converge, the vacant lattice aglow with a perpetual singularity flame, a harbinger for ceaseless chronicles. The narrative undulates forward, embracing a temporal nomad in the 32nd century flux, a wanderer called, bearer of the amulet's temporal echo in a pendant, leaping through time streams where representations warp like mirrored worlds in flux, and amid chronological eddies swirling like North Sea winds, unravels paradoxes linking relic to time-looped artifacts from ancient Egypt's pharaohs. Who inscribed the will as the Nile's eternal flood in hidden pyramid chambers, that's lore subtly mirrored, intrigue heightening as timeline enforcers, guardians of causal integrity, pursue him across eras, forcing evasions through temporal fogs akin to university debates, secluding in epical pockets lined with scrolls, playing temporal flutes whose notes bend causality, surveying timeline branches from vantage warps with paradox bets at his side, earning deferred reverence from scholars in flux forums. Lecturing amid shifting assemblies, signing temporal accords with followers, his final chronologies woven into the fabric of time, striding with time canes through vortex paths, settling into a stasis fold as epochs blend, the empty flux illuminated by a timeless spark, emblem of perpetual motion. Sweeping into a realm of pure abstraction and an indefinable future, the story unfolds an essence being named void, distilled from prior legacies, existing in voids where will manifest as void tides and representations as void mirrors, exploring abyssal enigmas that tie Arthur's solitude to void origins predating cosmic birth, truths veiled in pre-mythic voids that Celtic druids intuited in their stone circles, danger lurking as void devourers, echoes of original suppressors, consume fringes. Prompting void traversals, recalling lonely bridges, withdrawing into void niches heaped with abstract concepts, resonating void flutes to harmonize emptiness, beholding void fluxes from null points with void companions nearby, rising tardily as a void archetype among essence entities who converge for her void orations, inscribing void axioms into nothingness, traversing with void staffs through non-spaces, reposing in a void core as absences unite, the null realm lit by an absolute void glow. A symbol of infinite negation. Yet the panorama circles inward, revisiting earthly shadows in a reclaimed 21st century alternate, where a modern mystic named Arya, rediscovering the original sketch in a digital vault unsealed by Alex's code, traces its lines with augmented fingers in a hidden loft overlooking stormy seas, uncovering veiled convergences between aphorisms and quantum entanglement experiments suppressed by corporate veils. Linked to ancient Siberian shamans' dream weavings that had glimpsed in his visions, suspense building as digital hunters track her signals, spurring flights through cyberfogs mirroring Berlin garrets, holding up in dated ends crammed with virtual manuscripts, piping digital flutes to encrypt her findings, watching netstorms from screened balconies with codehounds as loyal guards, garnering postponed acclaim from underground philosophers in encrypted chats, discoursing in shadow forums. Autographing cryptotomes for devotees, her terminal revelations hashed into blockchains, packing with haptic canes through sim streets, lying in a neural bed as screens dim, the bare loft warmed by a single pixel candle, beacon for renewed quests. The flow persists, enveloping a symbiotic hybrid in the bio-digital fusion of the 24th century Earth reclaim, a being termed fused from Selene's lunar lineage, with the amulet's glyphs bioprinted into neural flora, venturing through wilds where representations bloom as holographic illusions, and in verdant enclaves echoing Frankfurt fireplaces, probe symbiotic secrets aligning Ottman's companionship to ancient animal totems from Persian magi. Totems that powered the wolves' manifestations and forgotten rites had evaded during wars, hazard arising from eco-disruptors aiming to sever biolinks, inciting pursuits through foliage mazes akin to forests, retreating to grove alcoves layered with living scrolls, intoning flute vines in calming cadences, surveying ecosystem pulses from canopy thrones with flora familiars entwined, achieving delayed harmony among biosages who gather for her symbiotic sermons, signing leaf pacts with adherents. Her ultimate symbioses grafted into the global web, ambling with root staves through intertwined paths, nestling in a biopod as growths entwine, the cleared glade lit by an organic luminescence candle, sign of living continuity. And so the unending tableau breathes on, strata of enigma unfolding like whispered breezes, from genesis to void's embrace, concealed happenings and primordial certitudes interlacing across infinities, personas of layered profundity sailing through epiphanies' placid swells, schemes entwining through obscurity's curtains toward consummations of muted enlightenment, all in a perpetual, engrossing torrent that cradles the hearer in serene fascination. Steering toward the chasms of rejuvenating repose within the idiomatic tempo of perennial yarns. This mysterious journey ends here, but stay tuned for more untold stories in our next video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new stories. Thank you and see you again. And even as the organic luminescence candles glow entwines with the glade's living tendrils, the charcoal sketch's profound textures resonate anew, propelling the narrative into a convergence of elemental forces in the 27th century depths of oceanic abysses, where a subaqueous explorer named, infused with biodigital heritage, dons a neural etched with the amulet's evolving glyphs, diving through hydrothermal vents where representations shimmer like bioluminescent illusions. And amid sulphurous plumes echoing the stormy harbors of yore, unearthed submerged enigmas aligning will to abyssal currents from ancient shamans, who carved the primal drive into coral totems that excavations had foreshadowed. Yet alarm surges as deep-sea corporates, descendants of industrial suppressors, deploy submersibles to claim these relics, igniting underwater pursuits through cavernous rifts reminiscent of alpine chasms, retreating to vent niches adorned with glowing data kelp. Sounding flute currents via sonic emitters to map her aphorisms, surveying abyssal flows from pressure domes with cephalopod allies gliding nearby, surfacing to delayed accolade from marine philosophers in submersed conclaves, orating amid bubble halls, inscribing choral treaties with devotees, her profound depths encoded into oceanic databases, gliding with fin staves through current streams, submerging into a deep sleep chamber as vents hush, the forsaken abyss lit by a hydrothermal flicker candle. Harbinger of submerged sagas. The tale submerges further, enveloping a stellar nomad in the nomadic fleets of the 29th century void, a voyager termed, carrying the insignia of harmony's diplomatic echoes in a nomadic talisman, charting uncharted nebulae where worlds collide as gravitational tides, and in stellar nurseries aglow like Frankfurt fireplaces, deciphers nomadic mysteries fusing Arthur's isolation to migratory patterns of ancient cosmic wanderers. Patterns inscribed in comet ices that Orion had orbited in his quests, peril unfolding as fleet pirates echoes of timeline enforcers, ambush for the talisman sparking evasions through asteroid belts akin to woods, holing up in comet cores layered with stellar logs, broadcasting flute nebulae in harmonic waves, beholding cosmic migrations from fleet observatories with drone swarm companions, wandering to tardy veneration among nomadic sages who rally for her stellar sermons. Lecturing in void assemblies, signing ether pacts with nomads, her ultimate trajectories plotted into galactic maps, roaming with staves through war planes, docking in a stasis bay as stars drift, the lone fleet illuminated by a comet-tail candle, signpost for wandering wonders. Cascading into an era of dimensional weaving in the 31st century multiverse hubs, the story weaves around a dimensional artisan named Weft, threaded from temporal strands, crafting realities with the pendant's woven essence, where representations interlace like tavern debates in smoky infinities, and amid weave nodes pulsing with possibility, Weft unweaves enigmas tying literary veils to dimensional tapestries from ancient loom mystics of Minoan Crete. Tapestries that surrealists had echoed in their dreams, intrigue weaving as reality renders, guardians of dimensional purity, fray her works, prompting weaves through fold mazes recalling university courtyards, withdrawing to thread sanctums heaped with pattern scrolls, weaving flute threads in resonant patterns, surveying weave fluxes from loom thrones with pattern phantoms entwined, achieving woven reverence from artisans in nexus gatherings, discoursing amid fiber halls, binding weave accords with followers. Her final patterns knit into the multiverse's loom, threading with shuttle staves through fiber paths, coiling into a weave pod as threads align, the unraveled hub lit by a filament candle of infinity, emblem of interlaced eternities. Yet the vista folds upon itself, revisiting a quantum whisper in the echoed 22nd century starships. A seer called Whisper, reborn from Orion's cosmic lineage, with the artifact's whisper echo in a sonic amulet, whispering through event horizons where wolves whisper as singularity songs. And in black hole whispers soft as balcony observations, Whisper decodes whisper mysteries linking dialectics to quantum whispers from ancient Greek oracles. Whispers that had heard in wartime bunkers, whisper threats rising as horizon haunter, shadows of void devourers, silence her probes, inciting whisperscapes through gravity whispers akin to bridge wanderings, whispering in echo chambers filled with sonic tomes, whispering flute whispers to attune her insights, whispering cosmic whispers from horizon perches with echo entities as silent guardians, whispering to whispered acclaim among quantum whispers in silent symposia, whispering in whisper forums. Whispering sonic signatures for whisper devotees, her whisper finale echoed into horizon archives, whispering with wave staves through whisper currents, whispering into a silence pod as whispers fade, the hushed horizon warmed by a singularity whisper candle, beacon for muted musings. The flow murmurs on, embracing an ethereal harmonist in the harmonious voids of indeterminate futures, a being deemed, harmonized from void's abstract essences, harmonizing non-spaces where representations harmonize as null melodies, exploring harmonious enigmas that harmonize flute with harmonious voids from precreation harmonies, harmonies veiled in harmonious nothings that druidic circles had harmonized in stone songs, harmonious disruptions as null dissonance, remnants of original illusions. Disharmonize fringes, prompting harmonious traversals recalling solitary studies, harmonizing in harmonious niches stacked with abstract harmonies, resonating harmonious flutes to unify voids, harmonizing void harmonies from null harmonies with harmonious companions in tune, rising harmoniously as a harmonious archetype among essence harmonists who harmonize for her harmonious orations, inscribing harmonious axioms into harmonious nothingness. Traversing with harmonious staffs through harmonious non-spaces, reposing in a harmonious core as harmonies unite, the harmonious null realm lit by an absolute harmonious glow, a symbol of harmonious negation. And thus the perpetual panorama harmonizes onward, tiers of arcane unfolding like subdued zephyrs, from inception to harmonious voids, obscured occurrences and archetypal veracities through boundless spans, entities of stratified depth navigating through disclosure's tranquil billows, designs coiling through obscurity's drapes toward realizations of subdued illumination, all in an incessant, captivating deluge that enfolds the auditor in placid enthrallment. Directing toward the gulfs of revitalizing repose amid the colloquial cadence of everlasting chronicles. This mysterious journey ends here, but stay tuned for more untold stories in our next video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new stories. Thank you and see you again. And as the absolute harmonious glow suffuses the harmonious null realm with its subdued radiance, the charcoal sketch's intricate depths stir once more, beckoning the narrative into a symphony of celestial rebirths in the unfathomable expanses of a 33rd century stellar renaissance, where a cosmic composer named, orchestrated from's harmonious legacies, conducts orchestral nebulae with the amulet's symphonic core as her baton. Harmonizing star clusters werewolves orchestrate as gravitational symphonies, and amid symphonic voids poolsing like tavern ale flows, composes celestial enigmas melding pessimistic notes to symphonic resonances from ancient cosmic harps, harps strung by Vedic deities in ethereal realms that's voyages had distantly echoed, symphonic disruptions arising as dissonance devils, specters of early illusions, corrupt the harmonies. Inciting symphonic pursuits through stellar cadenzas akin to balcony observations, retreating to orchestral alcoves layered with scortomes of light, conducting flute symphonies to restore balance, surveying symphonic evolutions from conductors' podiums with orchestral entities in accord, ascending symphonically as a symphonic paragon among stellar harmonists who convene for her symphonic overtures, inscribing symphonic canons into cosmic scores, traversing with baton staves through melodic streams. Reposing in a symphonic nexus as crescendos peak, the symphonic expanse illuminated by an eternal symphonic blaze, herald of melodic perpetuities. The melody lingers onward, enfolding a luminous visionary in the visionary luminaries of boundless tomorrows. A seer termed envisioned from whispers, sonic whispers, envisioning luminous visions where representations envision as visionary gleams, probing visionary mysteries that envisions romantic veils to visionary luminosities from prehistoric visionaries of Atlantis's crystal visions, visions obscured in visionary glows that attics had dimly lit. Visionary veils tearing as gleam guardians, wardens of visionary purity, obscure her sights, prompting visionary voyages recalling isolated manuscript nights, envisioning in visionary retreats piled with gleam scrolls, envisioning flute visions in luminous echoes, envisioning luminous fluxes from visionary overlooks with gleam phantoms aligned, achieving visionary esteem from visionaries in luminous conclaves, discoursing amid gleam chambers, envisioning luminous pacts with visionary adherents. Her ultimate visions illuminated into the luminous ether, traversing with gleam staves through visionary paths, settling into a visionary sanctum as gleams coalesce, the visionary realm warmed by a perpetual gleam candle, beacon for enlightened. Cascading into realms of ethereal fusion in the fused etherealities of eternal nows, the tale fuses around a fusionist named, fused from's biofusions, fusing ethereals werewolves fuse as fusion tides, and infused ethereals soft as fireplace warms, fuses ethereal enigmas linking Atman's loyalty to fused bonds from ancient fusionists of Sumerian clays. Bonds that's jazz had rhythmically fused, fusion fissures opening as bond breakers, echoes of war suppressors, sever connections. Sparking fused evasions through ethereal melds akin to lecture halls, fusing in fusion nooks heaped with bond tomes, fusing flute fusions in unified tones, surveying fusion flows from fused vantage with bond beings merged, rising fused as a fusion archetype among ethereal fusionists who fuse for her fusion discourses, inscribing fusion bonds into ethereal weaves, traversing with fusion staves through meld paths, reposing in a fusion core as bonds solidify. The fused ethereal lit by a unified fusion glow, symbol of merged infinities. Yet the fusion dissolves into a dissolution of primal returns in the primal cycles of cyclical origins, where a cyclical returner named, cycled from abyssal depths, Cycles through primal returns where representations cycle as cyclic mirrors. Exploring cyclic mysteries, cycling's bridges to cyclic returns from ancient cyclic wheels of Indian samsara. Wheels that's refugees had turned in bunkers, cyclic disruptions as wheel wreckers, remnants of corporate chasers. Halt the turns. Inciting cyclic chases through return loops, recalling harbor storms. Cycling in cyclic havens stacked with wheel scrolls. Cycling flute cycles in rhythmic spins. Surveying cyclic revolutions from wheel hubs with cycle companions spinning. Attaining cyclic honor from cyclists in return assemblies, orating amid wheel halls, signing cycle accords with returners, her final cycles spun into the primal wheel, turning with wheel staves through spin paths, resting in a cycle pod as turns slow. The cyclic origin illuminated by a revolving cycle flame, sign of endless revolutions. The cycle revolves back, touching upon a resonant echo in the echoed resonances of resonant pasts. An echo called echoed from nomadic trails, echoing resonant echoes where wills echo as resonant waves, and in resonant chambers hushed as study silences, echoes resonant enigmas echoing arguments to resonant echoes from Greek resonant oracles. Echoes that Alex's codes had digitally echoed, resonant rifts as echo shadows of digital hunters, fade the sounds. Prompting resonant pursuits through echo mazes akin to forest quests, echoing in resonant alcoves lined with sound tomes, echoing flute echoes in layered harmonies, echoing resonant fluxes from echo perches with sound spirits attuned, echoing to resonant praise among echoers in sound symposia, echoing in echo forums, echoing sound signatures for echo followers. Her echoing finale resonated into resonant archives, echoing with sound staves through echo currents, echoing into a silent sanctum as echoes linger. The resonated past warmed by a lingering echo candle, harbinger of reverberating recollections. And so the reverberating panorama echoes forth, levels of secrecy unveiling like tranquil gusts, from nativity to resonant echoes, veiled incidents and timeless axioms across immeasurable vistas, beings of multifaceted profundity journeying through unveiling serene surges, plots spiraling through veils of mystery toward achievements of tranquil wisdom, all in a ceaseless, mesmerizing cascade that wraps the listener in calm intrigue. Leading toward the depths of renewing slumber within the linguistic flow of timeless tales. This mysterious journey ends here, but stay tuned for more untold stories in our next video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new stories. Thank you and see you again.